and thanks for tuning in for another 3-tip bit. I'm so excited to have two new friends join us for our conversation today. Lynn, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic right over to you. Can you share with us who you are, who you do it for, what you do, and just give the audience and listeners an idea of who you all are. I'm glad to have you.
Awesome. We're so happy to be here. Thank you for having us. My name is Lynn Casaletto, and my teammate, Caitlyn Guenther, is also with us today. Core Growth Consulting is a 15-year company. We've both been in the industry. I've been in the industry for 20 years. Financial services industry combined, Caitlyn and I, 15. We're a coaching and consulting company. We work with individuals and teams. And really what we do for clients is we help them create more peace and fulfillment as they're achieving their goals. Our clients are heart-centered high achievers. We also work with teams and organizations. And in the spirit of self-awareness, we help individuals gain self-awareness. And within teams, we help teams to build trust faster. And one of the things that we love doing is helping our teams shine a light on each person's superpower so that they can really leverage what each person is great at. Quite frankly, what we found over the years is that this leads to higher production and higher retention.
I love that. I love that. Core growth, right? It's so good. So in all of the years combined that you both have together, I know I'm asking you to only share 3 tips. So narrowing that down may have been a little challenging, but I'm going to go ahead and just open it up and would love to hear from you both on what are those 3 tips in your area of expertise that you would like to share with our listeners today?
Awesome. The first one is to honor yourself first. And Lindsay, you know this, being a high achiever yourself. The nature of most of our clients is to give to others. And in order to be able to give to others, we really coach people on figuring out how to honor themselves first. So if you think about it from a morning routine, what are the breaks that they incorporate into their day? How do they end their day? What's their end of the day ritual to go home then to either their own life outside of work or it's for their families? So Caitlyn, do you have anything else to add on just honoring yourself first and make an example in your own life?
Yeah, for sure. I know Lynn and I both believe and love the 5-minute journal. We hear often our clients talk about gratitude, which I love, but probably my favorite part of that piece is the I am statement. So every morning it's choosing like, I am present. I am perfect the way I am, whatever that I am statement is. And then ending the day by saying 3 amazing things. And I love that piece because you're priming your brain right in the morning to be like, okay, in the evening, I have to write this down. So you're always looking for those awesome things. So that's probably the biggest piece that's made an impact in my life recently.
Awesome. And then our second tip, Lindsay, is to really spend the time to get clear on what it is that you really want and need. And to have the emotional courage to ask for exactly that, whether it be in your personal relationships, in your relationships with your coworkers. It takes a lot of courage to say, hey, this is really what I want and need. And we found that oftentimes we don't even take the time to define it or get really clear on that. Caitlyn, what would you add to that?
Yeah. One thing that we commonly talk about with our teams is there's 5 dysfunctions of a team. And it's really a pyramid. So that first building block, the foundation says the absence of trust. So obviously that's the piece. Like if you aren't being vulnerable, if you're not saying what you need, your team probably won't perform at the best. So obviously this is really important right now with all the change that's happening, but it's important always.
So good. And then our last one, I know all 3 of us can understand and relate to this, is just to be bold. I love that quote by George Adair. It says, everything that you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And I know in my own life, it's always the things that give me the biggest butterflies, that make me feel most afraid, that when I have the courage to lean into them, that's truly where the greatest gifts in my own life have come from. And Caitlyn, I know this is true for you too. What would you like to add there?
Yeah. I was thinking about the quote you shared, Lynn, and one of my favorite books is called Big Magic. And we just talked about this the other week. In the first chapter, the author's saying, I'm going on a road trip and fear hops in the car. And what I tell fear is, hey, you can ride with me, but you don't get to choose where we go and you don't get to control the radio. So always remembering that to be bold in life, and fear is always going to be along for the ride, but it shouldn't stop you from going somewhere.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm so glad I started taking notes in these conversations because both of you just shared so many great things. I think for me, this idea of the personal idea and individual mindset that we have to have, but then also in the same breath, how we are a part of a team and how that impacts our team. So honoring yourself, and Caitlyn, love this I am statement. It makes perfect sense to open your day with a positive mindset and then closing with it as well. And then that second one of getting clear, having clarity on what you want and what you need. So again, starting with the I, but then sharing that and projecting that with the team. Love it. Being bold. We always love hearing quotes. So Lynn, thanks for sharing that. And then Caitlyn, books. I have not heard of Big Magic, and I'm sure lots of other folks haven't either. So definitely a great visual of fear hopping in the passenger seat with us. I love that. But knowing that, it's our responsibility to be bold and have that control, and be accepting of that there's parts of life that are fearful, and that's okay, right? And facing that head on. So amazing stuff, ladies. Thank you so much. So how in the world should people find you, right? And connect with you and start a conversation if they're interested?
Yeah, we have a website, coregrowthconsulting.com. That's where you can kind of see more about what we do. But then we're both on LinkedIn, so you can connect with Lynn and I both there and reach out.
Awesome. LinkedIn is where my heart is. So that's always great to know that we can find you there as well. So that part of our protocol of this conversation is ending with a positive focus or a positive note. And so again, lots of anxiety and fear can be kind of filled with our heads, not just in these times, but on a daily basis. So I'd like to end and ask you both, what's one thing that makes you happy?
Caitlyn, you want to go first?
Yeah. I love to bake. And when I say bake, I mean like all the bad things I shouldn't eat. I learned how to bake at a really young age, so I feel like it brings me back to my youth. And usually when I bake, I share it with others because, again, it should be I should not eat these things on my own.
Good. And I would say, well, my first love is just being in nature makes me happy. But recently, and just with the climate of our boys being home and working from home, yesterday we were baking, and the way that my 5-year-old Ty cracks an egg just blew my mind. He owned it with such authority. Like, he cracked 3 eggs in a row. And it was one of those moments where I know this to be true, but it was like I lived it, where like our kids are our greatest teachers. And literally, you guys, today I was making myself scrambled eggs and I got shell in it. And I was kind of rushing. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, I won't be able to taste it. Every bite. So I started over from scratch, and I literally went back and I did it exactly how he did it yesterday. And I was like, he is my greatest teacher.
I love that. So good. So right here we are, another conversation in, and we've just heard from 2 amazing humans who have so much wisdom to share. So ladies, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for tuning in to another 3-Tip Fit. See you on the next conversation.